In the year of 2023, 2 years after the pandemic that shook the world to its core, technology had become more than just a tool. It had become a lifeline, a barrier between humanity and the isolation that had once gripped society. For many, the virus had changed everything: the way they worked, the way they connected, and most of all, the way they traveled. Among the millions who had felt this shift was Kara Matthews, a 32-year-old freelance travel writer living in Brooklyn, New York. Before the world shut down, Kara had made a name for herself exploring remote destinations, sharing her adventures through captivating articles and blog posts. But as the pandemic stretched on, borders closed, flights were grounded, and Kara's passport, once filled with stamps from every corner of the globe, gathered dust on her desk. Months passed in quiet solitude, the city's once vibrant energy muted by the constant hum of the pandemic's presence. Then, as the world began to recover and life crept back to a new normal, a glimmer of hope appeared. The travel industry, though battered, was making its comeback, and with the recovery came a new frontier for travelers, the rise of virtual reality, or as you guys refer to as VR. One day, as Kara scrolled through her inbox, an email caught her attention. The subject line read, "Experience the world like never before. Introducing Meta World Journeys." The email promised a revolutionary new experience, virtual travel with Meta World Journeys. Users could explore the most remote and exotic places in the world without leaving their homes. The technology it claimed was so advanced that it would feel like being truly there. The sights, the sounds, even the sensations would be perfectly recreated. Kara couldn't resist. I mean, obviously, it was just because it was the next best thing to real travel. For a travel writer, it was a dream come true. So as you guys know, it was an email that was sent to her. And this email was from a company called Meta World Journeys, based in San Francisco, which had quickly become a beacon for virtual tourism. They offered fully immersive travel packages to destinations around the globe, powered by a next-generation VR headset and a system known as the Eternal Trip, a digital tour that promised to transport users to a different place, a different time. So as you guys can expect, Kara immediately signed up for the Eternal Trip package. For her first journey, she chose Kyoto, Japan, a city that had long been on her bucket list, and as soon as she signed, the confirmation email arrived to her within moments. Dear Kara Matthews, your eternal trip to Tokyo, Japan has been booked. Your departure date is May 10th, 2023. Please ensure your Meta World VR headset and equipment are ready for activation at exactly 10 a.m. And that's what was written in the message. It felt too good to be true. Kara could already feel the excitement bubbling within her. It was a chance to escape, to immerse herself in a place she had only ever dreamed of. But what she didn't know was that this trip would take her far beyond the boundaries of ordinary life. It would lead her into a digital nightmare, a place where the boundary between the real and the unreal would vanish, and where something far darker awaited her. On the morning of her trip, Kara carefully set up the VR headset in her apartment. The Meta World headset was sleek and modern, with glowing blue lights and a comfortable fit. As she adjusted it, a soft hum filled the air, almost like a heartbeat. She hit start, and the world around her dissolved. One moment, she was sitting in her Brooklyn apartment, and the next, she was standing on the streets of Kyoto. The crisp morning air was intoxicating, filling her lungs with the scent of cherry blossoms. She could hear the hum of the city around her, the soft murmur of people speaking in Japanese, the rustle of leaves from the trees. It felt so real. Too real. Her guide for the journey was Tetsuya, a middle-aged man dressed in a traditional kimono. His voice was calm, reassuring. "Welcome to Kyoto, Kara-san," he greeted her. "I will show you the beauty of this place. Come on, let's go." Tetsuya led her through the winding streets, past quaint shops and ancient temples. The buildings, the people, the sounds, they were all lifelike, more vivid than she had ever imagined. It was as if she were standing in the middle of the real Kyoto, feeling the vibrations of the city beneath her feet. This was travel, Kara thought. Just without the hassle of long flights or jet lag. She was free. That's what she told herself, But The day went on, and something felt off. The deeper Kara ventured into the city, the more she noticed subtle anomalies. The world seemed to shimmer slightly at the edges, like a mirage or some sort of thing. The digital architecture sometimes flickered, as if a piece of the simulation had briefly glitched. It was a fleeting thing, too quick to be sure of, but it was enough to make Kara pause. It wasn't until evening that the real discomfort began. Tetsuya led her to the Fushimi Inari Shrine, the famous temple known for its thousands of red torii gates. The sun was setting, casting long shadows over the landscape. As they walked through the gates, Kara felt a strange pull, as if something was watching her. "Isn't it beautiful?" Tetsuya asked, his voice barely above a whisper. But his eyes weren't on her. They were fixed on something in the distance, something just beyond the gates. Then Kara heard it, a whisper, faint but unmistakable. At first, she thought it was the wind or the rustling of leaves. But no, it was a voice, low and distorted, like a distant murmur from somewhere deep within the simulation. "Tetsuya?" Kara asked, her voice trembling. "Did you hear that?" Tetsuya's face drained of color. It's nothing, Kara-san," he said as his voice was a little too hurried, and then he ended up with saying, "We must leave." Kara felt a knot tighten in her stomach. There was something strange about his response. But before she could question him further, the sky above them flickered. The image of the distant mountains turned into a distorted blur, as if someone had pressed the reset button on the world or something like that. "Let us go back," Tetsuya insisted, his hand gripping her arm. "It's better you rest." Kara nodded to him, but something in her gut told her that she wasn't just being led back to safety. Something was wrong. Very, very wrong. Over the following days, the glitches grew more frequent. The whispers returned louder, clearer, sometimes even seeming to come from inside her head. The digital world around her became less stable, less real. Sometimes it felt as though the simulation was fighting her, pushing her back, distorting her perception of the world. One night, as she wandered through a narrow alleyway near the temple, Kara found herself lost. The path seemed unfamiliar, the streets more cramped, the air colder. She called out for Tetsuya, but there was no answer. Her heart began to race. The walls of the alleyway started to close in on her. The more she tried to find her way back, the more the city seemed to shift, like it was being rearranged before her eyes. "Where are you?" Kara cried, her voice echoing back at her in an unnatural hollow tone. The glitching intensified. The once beautiful simulation of Kyoto became something darker. The sky above split open, revealing an abyss, a cold digital void. Something was there, something ancient and vast, lurking beyond the simulation, something that was not meant to be seen. "Tetsuya, help!" Kara screamed, but her voice was swallowed by the void. The world around her twisted and warped, becoming unrecognizable. And then it happened. A cold metallic voice crackled through her headset. "Leave this place, Kara-san. The digital world is not meant for the living." Before she could respond, everything went back to be continued.